Okay, Marci, you just got done talking to the executives here at our Innovation Leadership Summit. You shared a wealth of information. I took a couple pages of notes. Can you just recap a little bit about the three elements that you share with the folks here and some about the misunderstandings? You sort of started off on that theme.
Sure. Every recovery is special. Every recession is special. Every recovery is special. And this economic recovery is being driven by three things. It's being driven by the fact that savings in America is rising. It's being driven by the fact that house prices are stabilizing. And finally, it's being driven by exports, which is a really unusual thing for the U.S. economy. Normally, you would think about U.S. growth being internal. But in this instance, because the rest of the world is becoming so much richer, they are beginning to really pick up their purchases of U.S. exports. And I believe that's where the job growth is likely to come from, not just for this year, but really for the next decade.
Okay, and you talked a little bit about just some of the basic misunderstandings that we kind of forgot over the last 3 years as things went into a spiral. Are there just some basic tips people should keep in mind, like the amount you should spend on a home and...
Oh, yes. Well, you know, one of the things that we lost sight of were just really some fundamental principles of sound financial planning. So, for instance, you know, many of us grew up with the rule of thumb that you should have 6 months of liquid income in the bank in case you lost your job. People didn't do that. We lost sight of that, and I think this recession would have been so much easier on everybody if people would have had that nest egg built up. And we're seeing them return to that behavior, but it doesn't take away the fact that the last 2 years have been very painful because they didn't do it before. We also know that house prices sort of spiraled out of control and people reached for homes that they really couldn't afford. In reality, you can afford a house that's about 3 times your yearly income. So if you make $100,000, you can afford $300,000, not $3 million.
And just any questions or feedback you got from any of the executives afterwards, just kind of where were their questions and their thoughts?
You know, a lot of people are really concerned about the size of the U.S. government's budget deficit, and I'm concerned as well. But I think the political process takes care of that. We have to cut spending, and the way that we will cut spending is that congressmen do it, and that will require a new set of congressmen, and I think you're going to be really surprised in the midterm elections coming up that you'll see a lot of political upheaval because I think Americans are galvanized to finally do something about the problem.
Great. Thanks, Marci.